What's going on, guys? My name is Neeb. Welcome back to AROMATIX. I think the eau de toilette and the low concentration fragrance era is pretty much gone. People are becoming more consumer aware, more conscious of what they're getting back. Now, there are a lot of scent profiles that people might argue, oh, it can't be strong, and there are some that I can agree with that. But for the most part, we want return on our investments. For the most part, it's not always possible. Sometimes a good fragrance is worth a compromise, but even that compromise, what should it actually be? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments section, and let's go ahead and get started with an honorable mention of one of the longest lasting fragrances. This is a $400+ fragrance, and that's why it's not on this list exactly. And it's called Givenchy Inflammé. I promise the rest of these fragrances are affordable, but I want to talk about this one in general because of how nuclear it is. This is all about ambers and tobacco. It's got a lot of absolutes and resinoids, etc. And that's actually a pretty important point to note, the fact that when you pay for higher price, you get higher quality of ingredients, which in turn lasts a long time. So it doesn't necessarily mean that it's not possible to get an affordable fragrance that lasts. It is absolutely possible, and there are a lot of situations where they just milk you. They release an eau de toilette, an eau de parfum, a parfum, then a parfum intense, and then an elixir. That's not the case with this one. You pay it, one and done. It's almost like you bought every single flanker. You'd be pretty much out the same amount of money. If Inflammé came out in an eau de toilette, and then you bought the parfum, and then the elixir, you're pretty much here, basically. This, along with Le Lion by Chanel, is another one that I wanted to talk about, but this is for grown men, man. Like, if you're looking for an eternal lasting fragrance, that's what this one is. And long story short, it's expensive as hell. It's very masculine, resinous, and tobacco. If you have a taste for niche and things like that, this is a great one to go with. Nevertheless, it's not an actual niche being on that list because it's Givenchy. They make designer stuff. Moving on to the first fragrance on this list. This is going to be no surprise because they definitely have quality ingredients in this fragrance as well. It's around $180, generally speaking. You hardly find this on discounters. It's called Chanel's Platinum Egoiste. This lasts for days on clothing. If you like that masculine, barbershop-y, fougere style vibe, this is exactly that. It's the best one, honestly, out of the whole Egoiste DNA. I personally don't like soapy too much, but this one has a soapy undertone, almost like Irish Springs, meets a little bit of modern fougere and herbs. Fresh, green, spicy, it's something I can tolerate. Every other flanker, it's a bit too much. It's a bit too old school for me. There isn't anything wrong with old school, but I don't want to smell like I'm in my 40s or 50s, or even in like my high 30s. Gentlemen, if you're looking for something that'll give you that serious money CEO vibes without going too dated, this is one of the best ones to get into that'll give you that longevity and performance. Even to this day, it's not the first one that I'll grab, but if I want that vibe, this is the one that I'll go with. In terms of the performance, it's absolutely beastly stuff. It lasts for 10+ hours, especially on clothing, and the projection for this one is high. It's a room filler easily. You actually do have to be careful with the atomizer, and not to mention that they used big atomizers on these as well. You get a lot of juice. Occasions for this fragrance, it's actually very versatile as well. You get freshness, you get modernity, you get soapy, you get herbal, aromatic, and spicy. This is something you can wear to every single event and every single occasion, even on dates. It just depends on your persona, etc. Seasons for this one as well, same thing. I think it'll be most appropriate in other seasons, but when you start to have fragrances that perform, you get so much more of a versatility because of exactly that. Like, would I wear it in the wintertime? Might not be my best choice, but yeah, you can still wear it in the wintertime. It just lasts. And what I'm getting right now in the air is that Irish bar of soap, or the Irish Springs bar of soap, along with those aromatic. It smells expensive, and it definitely performs and it projects. For the price, you are getting what you pay for, and this is hands down one of the best performing men's fragrances, period. Sauvage Elixir by Dior is nuclear stuff. This is barbershop, it's licorice, it's still holding on to a very similar style DNA as Platinum Egoiste, but much less soapy. It actually starts to go more towards the sexy and ambery vibe, and kind of a bit more youthful than this one, but it's not a youthful fragrance by any means, just in a comparison sense. This one goes fresh, green, and spicy. This one has fresh, spicy, but also woody. It's a lot more rugged, if you will. It seems to have a little bit more of a dense backbone of it. It's a bit more foamy from that lavender shaving cream style vibe. So in a sense, they've kind of accomplished a similar DNA, whereas this one seems like a nighttime version, if you will. The performance of this is absolutely across the board. Beastly longevity. longevity, 10 plus hours for days, man. And the projection, it's absolutely a room filler. In terms of the occasions, this is also another one that I would personally wear everywhere. Like dates, office, gym, you can wear it everywhere. I would just personally appropriate or spray it appropriately. Especially if you're going to the gym, I wouldn't recommend more than about 2 to 3 sprays with this one. And I'm known for spraying a lot. For the price, it does seem a little bit steep for what you're getting. I mean, you're paying about $180, almost $200 plus for 2 ounces, but you don't really have to spray it that much. Nevertheless, one of the strongest men's fragrances, period. Azzaro's the most wanted intense eau de parfum. I was actually pretty surprised at this one because generally speaking, a lot of my Azzaro fragrances, they'll give me decent performance, but never beastly. This is one that lasts on clothing easily to the next day. The scent profile of this has that chestnutty, toffee, a little bit more dense and rich than some of those other chestnut fragrances like Stronger With You, which I find this to be in that very similar family. If you like those playful, flirty, amber woody style fragrances, you should definitely check this one out. Not just because of the scent profile, but also because of that beastly performing in 10 hours to the next day on clothing. In terms of the projection though, this is one where I would say is a bit more reserved than that. Moderate on the low end, so about 2 feet of projection with this one for I would say about 2 hours, which is still very, very solid. Now the occasions for this one starts to take a little bit of a back seat because this is more appropriate for something such as special events and dates, maybe during the holidays, etc., because it does have a sweeter nature that you don't necessarily want to wear every single day. For the seasons, this is going to be the most appropriate for the fall and the winter time and maybe even during the early spring. But that's pretty much it. You can find this at discounters and for the price, even upwards of like 130 bucks, I still think it's worth it. It's definitely one of the longest lasting men's fragrances, period. Taking things on the pricier side, it's going to be Louis Vuitton's Ombre Nomad. Not a safe blind buy by any means, and this is specifically for people who like a dark, masculine, smoky, woody fragrance. It's got the note of oud, which is slightly animalistic. It has like this blue point ink style DNA. That's what it smells like. If you cracked one of those pens open before, yeah, you kind of get that vibe. A beautiful fragrance. It works like an aphrodisiac and one that you can really appreciate once you smell it in the air. You've got to let this one radiate around you and then judge it from that. If you're not into oudy, woody fragrances, or should I say oudy, woody fragrances, you might not be into this one. It's masculine, it's smoky, it's got rose, raspberry, saffron, it's got a plethora of things, and it just finesses that medicinal style of oud. Simple as that. In terms of the performance, this is one that's beastly. Projection is absolutely nuclear. Now, for the occasions, this is definitely one that I would reserve more so than some of these other ones as well. It's going to be office, potentially dates, depending on your vibes, and special events, not a signature scent. The seasons for this fragrance, I love wearing oud in a multitude of different seasons, but the most appropriate is going to be for the winter and the fall time, potentially the early spring. Final thoughts on this one, for about $500, it is pretty damn steep for 200 mLs. It is very steep, but considering the facts, you are getting the premium, you are getting the label, and you are getting the performance. So it really just comes down to how much you like oud and the scent profile. What doesn't change is that it's one of the longest lasting men's fragrances, period. Moving on to the next one, believe it or not, is Valentino Aroma Intense. This little sucker lasts, man, for days on clothing. I remember taking out some of my clothing from the hamper like 3 days later and I could still smell this DNA. And what I was getting is like this citrus, that crisp style citrus that's found in the original, but also lavender, vanilla, and a bit of woods. I was still getting that Born in Roma DNA. The Intense is a lot stronger than most people give it credit for. It's not necessarily my favorite one. I would say it's right after Coral Fantasy, at least for me in terms of the Born in Romas, but this one lasts. Coral Fantasy also lasts a long time, but because this one has a bit more crisp natures and it cuts through, that's exactly the best way I could describe it. It cuts through. It's that citrus, whatever other chemical compounds they have in there. This is a performing and projecting fragrance. Beastly performance. The projection, it's a room filler, you guys. I spray this one on about 7 to like 9 times, and I'm filling rooms and leaving scent trails everywhere. The occasions for this, I would say, is literally everywhere. Hanging out with the bros, going to the gym, office, dates, spray it according to exactly that. And the seasons, everywhere as well. This will even work in the summertime if you like more intense fragrances. It's appropriately named in comparison to its original. If you want something that's a little less punchy, obviously go for the OG, but can you wear this? You absolutely can. A bit more vanillic and lavender than some of those other mentioned, taking it more aromatic, but it's giving you bang for buck, and it's absolutely one of the longest lasting ones. Moving on to the next one, this is Spice Bomb Extreme. To this day. one of the longest lasting fragrances. Vanilla ice cream, spices, so damn sexy, man. I've gotten so many compliments with this fragrance. It'll always be in my collection, a recommendation. The performance for this one is beastly. It's 10 plus hours. Spray this bad boy on about 7 to 10 times. You will not have a single problem with performance. In terms of the projection, this is one that projects moderately on the high end, so 3 feet, but the scent trail of this, you're gonna be leaving it all over the place. For the occasions, this is where it takes a little bit more of a back seat, like some of the other mentioned ones, where it's only going to be for, you know, hanging out with the bros, it definitely works. Dates and special occasions, especially for the holiday seasons, man. Which leads me to the seasons. It's going to be winter and fall only. I wouldn't recommend wearing it anywhere else. And for the price, around 120 bucks, man. Spice Bomb Extreme. I know that a lot of people talk about it, so it kind of waters it down, but it still is that good. Moving on to another one that's more appropriate for the fall and winter time. I would say damn near almost only winter time. This is Boss Bottled Elixir. You guys, when I tell you performance is what this is, it's a freaking 12 out of 10 in terms of performance. The scent is not that easy though. It's all about the resins, that frankincense, olibanum, incense, and that licorice vibe. It's like you took the original Boss Bottled Intense, you added a little bit of this and some incense, the Sauvage Elixir licorice and incense. Absolutely love it. It's my favorite elixir on the market today, but the fragrance itself has hair on its chest, but that's exactly what it smells like. It's amazing. I love it. So if you're looking for performance beastly stuff that's just masculine, almost to the point where it's like, dude, like you've got people behind you feeding you grapes and stuff type of masculinity, that's the one. Occasions, this is going to be special events and maybe even dates. It depends on how masculine are you, bro? So you could potentially rock that during dates as well. Another one that, I mean, even during the office, if you're CEO, this one as well. If you're CEO, maybe to the office with about 2 sprays, nothing more than that. Seasons, winter and fall only. That's it, man. For the price, this is absolutely the best elixir in my opinion. Moving on to the next one. This is called Stronger With You, the original. It lasts for days, you guys. It lasts for days on clothing, and I think it's the best one out of the entire lineup. Intensely is great, absolutely is phenomenal, but this one got overshadowed by a lot of those. It has a lot of aspects. It's a little bit fresh, it's a little bit sweet, it's playful, it's ambery, it's compliment getting, it's performing, it's projecting, it smells like Nutella vibes, meets a little bit of citruses, some contrast. It's a beautiful fragrance. Performance for this is beastly. Projection of this, it's a room filler and a scent trail filler. Occasions, it's actually versatile. So you can wear it with the bros, you can wear it to the office, you can wear it to dates and special occasions. I don't know if I'd wear it to the gym. Have I? Yes, but I won't recommend it for the gym. Most appropriate seasons for this is gonna be the winter, the fall, and the springtime. My final thoughts on this is that you can get this for like $80 at discounters and maybe even less. And truth be told, you can wear this in almost every season. And if you do, don't let me stop you. Those seasons and recommendations are exactly that, recommendations. I've worn it in the summertime. While I didn't find it the best during the summer, it still worked. It might be cloying for some, and for the most part, I wanna stick to the most appropriate. Nevertheless, you get the idea. This is gonna be 2-in-1 from Maison Crivelli. These are expensive as shit too. This is called Hibiscus Mahjad. And Hibiscus Mahjad is rose and hibiscus and vanilla. It's this super crisp and very punchy green note. It's as simple as that. It's green, it's a little bit earthy, raunchy, sweetened, but a lot of rose as well. So not a safe blind buy by any means, but it is one of the most nuclear fragrances I've ever put my nose to. If you don't like rose, you might not like this one. And that green is so intense. Beastly performing, beastly lasting as well. Occasions for this is gonna be special occasions and dates, that's it. I would wear it in spring, fall, and the winter time, but no more than that. It's extremely expensive. It might not be worth the price if you don't sample it first. I highly recommend you sample this one. Next one is from the same house. It's called Oud Marcuja. And Oud Marcuja basically smells like ombre leather, or ombre nomad, sorry, with passion fruit. So if you want a fruitier version of that, this is exactly that. Inky blue oud with some of that passion fruit. Dry, fruity, and extremely long lasting and beastly. You cannot spray these fragrances more than about 3 times. We're talking about the Maison Crivelli. So you have been warned. The occasions for Oud Marcuja is going to be special events, potentially dates if you don't mind wearing oud, and bros. In terms of the seasons, strictly fall and winter strictly. I have personally tried to wear it in all other seasons, and I mean, I'm okay with it, but I don't recommend that you try it. Actually, try it. What the hell, try it. But that's my recommendations, fall and the winter time. For the price, both of these from Maison Crivelli, they're very expensive fragrances. So I wouldn't recommend that you go and get it, you know, just off of long lasting. No, maybe sample it, get your nose on some of these. Check the links down in the description for the lowest prices on a lot of these, and also decants for some of these as well, for the most affordable ones. Ending things off with the longest lasting men's fragrance. This is Le Male Elixir. I have to admit, this, although it's very sweet, like very sweet, some people might get annoyed from how sweet it is because of that honey. It's one of the longest lasting fragrances. It lasts on clothing up until washing the clothes. I mean, that's the best test. I literally just throw my clothes in after about 4 or 5 days. I take all of my clothing and I could smell certain DNAs. This is almost always on the piece of garment that I've rocked or whatever it is that I sprayed this on. So for the scent profile, it does smell like that original Le Male. It's got lavender, a little bit of aromatics, and that musky tonka bean, but this one increases some of its raunchiness and spiciness with an addition of honey as well. Performance for this is beastly, 10+ hours, and the projection, it's a room filler, you guys. This stuff does not play. Occasions for this one, I would say, is hanging out with the bros, dates, and special occasions, but that's pretty much it. The best seasons for this one is going to be the fall and the winter time. I don't think you're gonna appreciate this one during like the summertime, and maybe not even during the springtime. I think for the price, it's really good. It definitely is one of the top 3 from the whole JPG DNAs of the Le Male. It's worthy of grabbing. If you like sweet, you're definitely gonna like this one. It's raunchy, it's sweet, it's earthy, it's sexy, and that's pretty much it. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. 12 performing fragrances. No bullshit, no half-ass performance. These will give you a day's worth and some. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. Make sure to leave a like, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.